The entrepreneurial paradox, why Black women's success isn't enough. Thank you all for being here today. I'm truly honored to share with you some profound insights that have transformed my understanding of success, power, and empowerment in America's business landscape. These revelations came through my recent conversation with Jackie Johnson on the Soft Girl Era podcast, hosted by the remarkable Leanne Dolce. Jackie Johnson isn't just another voice in the entrepreneurship conversation. She's a visionary who has dedicated her life to illuminating the complex realities faced by Black women in business. Her work has fundamentally reshaped how we understand the intersection of race, gender, and economic power in America. Through her tireless advocacy and brutally honest analysis, she has created pathways for countless women to navigate systems never designed for their success. What Jackie shared with me was nothing short of revolutionary, a truth that challenges everything we think we know about entrepreneurial success in America. Here it is. Despite Black women being the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America, owning an astonishing 2.4 million businesses, they continue to face systemic barriers that limit their representation at the highest levels of corporate leadership. Let that sink in. The most entrepreneurial demographic group in America still can't break through the ceiling to leadership positions. This isn't just a contradiction, it's a paradox that reveals something profound about how power truly operates in our society. And it forces us to ask, what does real empowerment actually look like? The numbers tell a remarkable story of ambition and determination. Black women own more businesses than any other minority group in America. This isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary when we consider the historical context. These 2.4 million enterprises represent dreams manifested despite centuries of exclusion from traditional wealth building opportunities. Yet, alongside this entrepreneurial explosion, we see a troubling reality. Black women hold only a tiny fraction of executive roles, just 1.6% among top 100 companies. The wage gap remains stubbornly wide, with Black women earning just 68 cents for every dollar paid to white men. This creates what I call the entrepreneurial paradox: unprecedented business creation alongside persistent barriers to the highest levels of corporate influence and wealth. Why does this matter? Because true empowerment isn't just about starting businesses. It's about creating pathways for sustained influence and authority within industries. It's about transforming systems, not just working around them. The question becomes, how do we resolve this paradox? How do we honor the extraordinary entrepreneurial spirit while addressing the structural barriers that remain? To answer this, I want to share the story of Toni Townes-Whitley, one of the rare Black women CEOs leading a major corporation in America. As CEO of Science Applications International Corporation, SAIC, one of the largest government contractors in the US, her journey illuminates both the challenges and possibilities. Throughout her career, Towns Whitley navigated environments where diversity was often lacking at senior management levels. The isolation and pressure that comes with being the only one in the room can be immense. Yet she persisted, building her career over decades across technology sectors before joining SAIC. Her approach offers valuable lessons. She leveraged mentorship opportunities within professional networks focused on inclusion. She emphasized results driven leadership while simultaneously advocating for diversity initiatives within her organization. Her appointment as CEO marks significant progress toward greater representation. But perhaps more importantly, her visibility now inspires other underrepresented professionals while pushing industry norms toward greater inclusivity at top levels. What makes Towns Whitley's story particularly powerful is that she didn't just succeed individually, she created pathways for others. This distinction between individual success and systemic change is crucial. When we look beyond individual success stories to examine collective experiences, we see both tremendous resilience and ongoing challenges. The millions of Black female entrepreneurs who now own over 2 million US based enterprises represent one of America's most dynamic entrepreneurial movements. Yet these entrepreneurs face persistent obstacles, limited access to capital compared with peers from other demographics, wage gaps that persist even when they run successful firms, and lack of mentorship networks required for scaling operations beyond sole proprietorships into larger employer firms. This collective experience reveals something important. Entrepreneurship alone cannot solve systemic inequities. Starting a business may provide independence and opportunity, but without addressing broader structural barriers, entrepreneurship risks becoming an alternative path rather than a transformative force. The solution requires addressing both individual ambition and systemic obstacles. It means building networks that support long term success while simultaneously working to transform the systems that create barriers in the first place. This dual approach, supporting individual entrepreneurs while pushing for systemic change, offers a more complete vision of empowerment. It recognizes that starting businesses is important, but so is changing the rules of the game. What does this mean in practice? First, it means investing in peer to peer mentoring programs tailored specifically toward Black professional women seeking guidance. It means creating access to capital through innovative financing models that recognize and account for historical disparities. Second, it means advocating for policy reforms that address structural inequities, from procurement policies that increase opportunities for minority owned businesses to corporate governance reforms that increase diversity at leadership levels. Third, it means celebrating entrepreneurial success while remaining clear eyed about the work that remains. We can applaud the remarkable growth in Black women owned businesses while acknowledging that entrepreneurship alone cannot solve deeply rooted inequities. The story of Black women's entrepreneurship in America is ultimately about resilience and vision, the ability to create opportunity where little existed before. But it's also about transformation, the ongoing work of creating a business landscape where success doesn't require extraordinary effort to overcome artificial barriers. This brings us back to Toni Townes-Whitley and leaders like her. Their achievements matter not just because they've personally succeeded, but because they're helping to redefine what leadership looks like. They're creating new possibilities for those who follow. When we consider the entrepreneurial paradox, extraordinary business creation alongside persistent barriers, we're really asking fundamental questions about power and opportunity in America. We're asking who gets to lead, whose ideas receive funding, and whose vision shapes our economic future. The answers to these questions will determine whether entrepreneurship serves as a parallel path for those excluded from traditional power structures, or as a transformative force that reshapes those structures entirely. I believe we need both support for individual entrepreneurs and commitment to systemic change. We need to celebrate the 2.4 million businesses owned by Black women, while working to ensure that the next generation faces fewer barriers to reaching the highest levels of corporate influence. This isn't just about fairness, though fairness matters deeply. It's about unlocking the full creative and economic potential of all people. It's about building a business landscape that benefits from diverse leadership and perspectives. The entrepreneurial paradox reveals both how far we've come and how far we have yet to go. It challenges us to think more deeply about what true empowerment looks like. For Black women navigating this landscape, the journey often requires both extraordinary individual effort and collective action. It requires building businesses while simultaneously working to transform the systems those businesses operate within. This dual focus on individual success and systemic change offers a more complete vision of empowerment. It recognizes that starting businesses is important, but so is changing the rules of the game. As we reflect on Jackie's insights from our soft girl era conversation, I'm reminded that true transformation requires both personal ambition and collective action. It requires celebrating progress while remaining clear eyed about the work that remains. The story of Black women's entrepreneurship in America is still being written. Each new business represents a step forward. Each barrier overcome creates possibility for others. Each leader who reaches the highest levels of corporate influence helps redefine what leadership looks like. But the most powerful chapters may be those yet to come, when entrepreneurial success translates into broader systemic change, when barriers fall not just for exceptional individuals, but for all, when the extraordinary becomes ordinary. Here's my challenge to you today: reject the false choice between celebrating entrepreneurial success and demanding systemic change. We need both, and each of us has a role to play. If you're an investor, look beyond your traditional networks. If you're a corporate leader, examine your hiring and promotion practices. If you're a policymaker, consider how regulations can either reinforce or dismantle barriers. If you're an entrepreneur, build with both individual success and collective transformation in mind. The entrepreneurial paradox isn't just a problem to solve, it's a call to action. It demands that we reimagine success not as exceptional individuals overcoming barriers, but as the dismantling of these barriers altogether. What would our economy look like if we unleashed the full potential of all entrepreneurs? What innovations might emerge? What problems might be solved? What wealth might be created and shared? I believe we stand at a pivotal moment. We can either accept entrepreneurship as a workaround for systemic inequities, or we can harness entrepreneurial energy to transform those systems entirely. The choice is ours, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The 2.4 million businesses owned by Black women aren't just statistics, they're evidence of extraordinary determination in the face of obstacles. Imagine what might be possible if those obstacles were removed. That's the future I'm fighting for. That's the transformation Jackie Johnson and leaders like Toni Townes-Whitley are working toward. And that's the challenge I leave you with today. Don't just admire the resilience of those who overcome barriers. Commit yourself to tearing those barriers down, because true empowerment isn't just about creating paths around broken systems, it's about building new systems that work for everyone. Thank you.